Hi guys, I know it's been a while since I posted. I'm really sorry. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. Let me fill you in. So, I haven't watched my last video, so I don't really remember what we left off on. But my husband asked for a divorce and had a lawyer. So, I pretty much came back from treatment to him saying he had a dream and this is what has to be done. And, you know, what do I say? You know, we've been together for 19 years, married, together for 21. We have separated in the past, because of fighting and not wanting to expose the kids to it more so than they already were. But it was always something that we discussed, that it was mutual. This felt really blindsided. I felt really blindsided. But what can I do? And he said, it just makes sense for me to get full custody of the kids since you were gone all year and you weren't working. Which that went right to the heart, because he was the one that was supporting me and telling me, you need to go back to treatment. Every time I'd relapse, go back, go back, go back. And I never in a million years thought that he would use it against me, which he did. And I always said to him that if anything ever happened where we divorced, all I want are the kids. Like, I just, I'll never not let you visit them or anything, but I'm with them all the time. You're with the hours you work. You can't have them anyway, and that was agreed upon. So that was something I did not see him doing. And I had also told him that I would never take him for, alimony, and as long as he was actively a part of their lives, I would never even ask for child support. Well, now somehow I owe him child support. Since my name's not on the lease, I don't have a home, so I live in my baby's room. I have one of the kids with me, and the other, my other son is in with my husband, and I don't know how long that's going to last, because at any moment he could kick me out, or he could get a girlfriend, and they can both decide to kick me out. So I'm a little on edge, because I fully intended, the whole reason I did all this treatment, one was to try to save my family, because apparently it was me who was destroying everything, and I was trying to get back to work and get my life back, and I feel like I ruined everything. So I'm a little numb and shell-shocked, and I have been. I'm very hurt, and there's a finality to this one that is different than our other separations, plus, with the lawyer involved and signing the papers already. I just didn't see it playing out like this. I did not ask him for alimony. I kept my word, and he said that as long as I watch the kids during the day, since I'm not working, then he won't ask me for child support. But I don't have a car. He hasn't fixed my car yet, so I don't have a vehicle to go looking for a job. So right now that's okay, but I worry that when I do get a job, what will happen, because they're going to end up in daycare, and I don't know if I'm going to have to pay for it or if he's going to have to pay for it. So if I have to pay for it, then I'm basically not going to be able to save up for a place to stay. So I'm a little thrown through a loop here. And then after digesting all of that, this past Tuesday, we signed the papers, and George and I had gone for a car ride, and I gave him my blessing to go on and move on with his life, and if he has somebody in mind, which I think he does, you have my blessing. Just because sometimes you can't fight the inevitable, it's easier to just accept it. I also have my children who have had a rough year, as it is, and between just being 19, 17, and the grades they're in, and with the work that they're doing, and then the stuff happening in family, and now all of a sudden, this divorce bomb gets thrown on all of us. I'm just trying to keep it together so that they keep it together. Keep it as cordial as possible. I also know when I'm up against the wall and when I don't have any room to argue. So, I'm practicing the keep my mouth shut and not lead with my emotions. Been doing a lot of praying to keep myself calm and accepting. I do want to have a relationship, as a parent, to parent, co-parenting, and friendship with George, and I don't want anything to ruin that, and I'm just trying to not rock the boat, I guess you could say. Anyway, on that Tuesday, I decided that, we came home, we went for the ride and talked, and then we decided we'll go home, and the kids were all up. Well, he had picked me up these drinks called Simply Spiked, and they have 5% alcohol in them. They're carbonated. They kind of taste like salsa with flavoring and, very little alcohol. You can taste it, but I had a couple of those. But I had taken my bedtime meds, Seroquel, and my anxiety meds, which is Ativan, prior, because I just assumed everyone, it was a school night, everybody would probably be in their rooms doing homework or getting ready for bed anyway. So we would just give the kids baths and put them to bed and go to bed. So I really didn't think of that we would be hanging out. And I did forget about having taken them when I started drinking. Rookie mistake. Stuff I've done 100 times. You shouldn't do it at all, ever. But, just my mind was just full of other things and distracted, and I didn't pay attention. And between that and because of my purging and not eating, my potassium levels were off. It was enough for me to pass out and stop breathing. They had to call 911, and I ended up on a ventilator for 3 days. I woke up on Thursday evening, and I had no idea what was going on. I felt like I was suffocating again because the ventilator breathes in a rhythm for you, but if it's not your normal breathing rhythm, there is nothing you can do to fix that. So it's very hard to feel like you're getting enough air. They made me stay that way for about an hour to make sure I didn't go back under. Then they finally took it out, and that was the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life. I can't even explain how. I really thought they ripped my entire throat out with it. I was surprised I had a voice anymore. And I was then put on a psych hold because my ex-husband, told them that he thought I tried to kill myself, which I did not do. And in fact, I had a peg tube placement procedure done, set for Monday, this Monday that just came. I've been doing nothing but talking about getting back to work after it, and I'm really excited about the path of treatment I'm doing right now, and none of which pointed to me deciding in front of my children that I would kill myself. Divorce papers, upsetting, yes. Killing myself over, no, because it wasn't a great marriage. And I've always said I believe your soulmate and your true love don't always have to be the same person. And George was my soulmate. I was meant to meet him. I was meant to walk this far through life with him. We were meant to have our 4 beautiful children, and now we're meant to walk parallel. And my true love is still out there, and so is his. we just are not each other's. And we've, after lots of fights and grudges and resentment and all of that put aside, we both want each other to be happy, and that's what we realized. And that's what makes the divorce at least digestible. So there was no need for me to end my life. Plus, I lost somebody to suicide 6 years ago, and I can tell you the wrath of it from the survivor's side. And I would never do that ever to my children, because everyone's still picking up the pieces, and I don't think it'll ever be put back the way it was. It'll never be the way it was. And you know, I admit it, I had my attempts when I was much, much, much younger, but I was in a darker place, and I'm not in that place anymore. I'm fighting for my life, and there are days that I'm tired. There are days that I do want to give up. This eating disorder is exhausting, mentally, physically, emotionally. It gets in the way of a lot of things. It keeps me from a lot of things. It's frustrating, but if I can leave this earth and have beaten it, then that's I feel is my true lesson here on this earth, is to beat this demon, and I'm hell bent to do it. So that's why, even though I'm not going back into treatment, I'm doing neurofeedback with my therapist. My psychiatrist is on board, and I have the proper meds, and things are going great, and I am feeling mentally a lot better, a lot more positive, and thank God we started it before this divorce stuff came into play, because it really has helped me, I think, from going off a deeper end. So I had like no plans to not be here anymore, and it didn't matter though, because you know, I felt like I was judge, jury, and prosecuted in the emergency room that night. They just took me and put me in the end of a room. They don't have a psych ward on their hospital, so I had a 1-to-1 in a regular room. They were all single rooms, and that was it. They told me they didn't know how long I would be in there for. They said basically that I was on a legal hold, so there was nothing they could do. Hey, Dustin, say hi. So they're like, even if you get a lawyer, you know, it's up to the judge. You're going to see the judge on Thursday at this other psych hospital. And the whole time I'm like, okay, I get it. You know, I understand how it came in, how I look. Don't hit that button, baby. That's not nice. And I said, I know how it looks, and I understand you have to look into it, and, you know, I get it, and, you know, and I was really trying to be patient and realize, you know, I put myself here, make a stupid mistake, but at some point, I'll see a doctor, I'll see somebody will listen to me, and we'll get this squared away. I really had faith in that. And then, you know, Friday comes, Saturday comes, no doctors. I was like, I want to leave. I have a procedure on Monday. I said it is a life-saving procedure. They said, well, we're going to try to have it done here, only to find out Sunday night that no doctor will do it here because I'm not thin enough. And I said, in my head, I'm like, that's really the first thing you should say to somebody with an eating disorder is they're not thin enough. That's always going to make everything better. But whatever, I know, okay, fine. You know, I'm a fat ass, whatever. I don't care. I get it. But that's not why I'm having the tube in. The tube is being put in because I have lost the weight that I gained in treatment, and I am continuing to lose. And before it gets down to the... I don't like to throw numbers out there, but I'm going to throw the number out there because it was last year. The 77 pounds that I weighed when they put the tube in as a life-saving procedure, my GI doctor is aware that of what could happen if I don't have it and how bad it can get. I said that's why he is willing to do it as a preventative measure, because he sees that the relapse are bad for me. So I said that's why I need to get over the valley. And I said, otherwise, all of this work you did to save my life is in vain because I'm going to die. I said, my therapist will tell you, my psychiatrist will tell you. And they said, well, if you can get them to write a professional letterhead saying that this is, necessary for your treatment, then we'll get it done here. And I said, okay, fine. So I called my therapist. We were getting ready to get that done, and then I was explaining to them in the meantime, because I had started crying and I had a panic attack when I was on the phone with a friend, and the CNA, who is my one-on-one at the time, actually yanked the phone out of the wall, didn't even let me say goodbye, and said, I have to take this because it's upsetting you, and you're not allowed to talk to people when you're upset. I hadn't made a peep, I had made a sound, I hadn't been mean, short, cranky, nothing with any single person at all. There were no issues with me. They always told the next person coming in, she's no problem, she's cool. Like, I did nothing, like, I'm not that kind of person. I'm 37 years old, I'm an adult, I know I got myself into a mess. Like, I'm not going to sit there, and I'm not a misery loves company type of person. I really just was trying to just get through each day. And I cried because I was scared, and I was angry at myself and frustrated, and not to mention, they had not given me any of my medications from the day I got into the hospital on Tuesday up until Sunday. And I take Prozac, I take the Seroquel at night, and I take my Ativan 3 times a day. And so without all of that, I'm holding it together. I'm like, and I would ask for my meds. They're like, well, we can't give you meds. We're not a psych hospital. We can't give psych meds. I'm like, but you're holding me on a psych hold. And they're like, and they walk away. They had a social worker come up, say the same thing to me. And I said, well, fine. I'm not going to argue with a social worker either, because I don't need any more drugs. I said, as long as I get the tube on Monday, that's all I care about. That's the most important thing. And my therapist agreed, and she said, Jean, you have to get this done. My doctor is going to India on Tuesday. So it was Monday, or it was going to be next week. So I didn't have much of an option. Yeah. And I just got to the point where I just had a release. Well, the CNA takes the phone away from me, goes in the hallway, talks to the nurse. The nurse comes barging in. Thankfully, I'd spoken to my ex-husband, and I asked him, I said, you need to get up here right now. We need to figure something out. And he was on his way. Otherwise, I never would have been able to get in touch with him. And she's like, look, we're trying to be nice and work with you here. But if this is how you're going to act, if this, then you don't have, we'll take away your phone. We'll take away your visitors. You can just sit here. We'll take away your magazines. You don't have to have any of this. This is just because we're trying to be nice. And I'm sitting here thinking, you haven't had to talk to me or make a peep. Or I make a peep. Heard a peep come out of my room. And because of that, I've been overlooked by the doctor and by staffing, and I'm crying, not even aggressively crying, not having like an anxiety attack where like I'm freaking out. I'm just crying because I'm scared, and I told them that. And they still said, well, you have to be able to control your emotions. And I said, well, it'd be easier if I had my medication. And that was when the nurse was like, well, what medication? And I told her. And I said, I haven't had it since I've been here. And then she looked into it. And then she was like, you know what? I said, and I haven't had my doctor either. I said, so I haven't seen my doctor in 2 days. And he said, so she's like, she looked and she's like, you know what? You're right. I'm going to get my supervisor on this. And she left. While she left, my ex-husband comes in. I'm crying to him because I'm like, I can't believe you told him this. I'm stuck in here. My life is in somebody else's hands. They're telling me they can't do the peg tube. I'm not thin enough. I'm like, I'm never going to get this done. I need this done. My therapist will agree. They said they'll write her a letter. So I'm a little upset with him because he was with me the whole time. He knew I didn't take anything. I don't know why he said it, but his words had some severe consequences for me. And it didn't help either that in my head I'm thinking, here I am newly divorced and he looks like super dad because I was away in treatment, and now they have me on a suicide attempt. I'm just like, I don't know what games he's playing, but it was just, I was like, I just couldn't go there too, but like, still thoughts going through my head. But anyway, the doctor ended up coming in. He had left. They paged him. He came back in. He was very cranky at first. He's like, listen, there's nothing you can do. Get a lawyer. You can't run away. They'll just bring you right back. I said, run away. I said, I'm not 5. I said, I'm 37 years old. I said, I know I need treatment. I said, I'm trying to help you help me. I said, whatever you need, I can give you. But it's now Sunday night, and I'm being told this. I said, we've been working on this since Thursday evening. I said, since I've been moved out of the ICU and over here. I said, so I'm just trying to make sure that I get this procedure done. And that's when he's like, well, we can do an NG tube, but it's uncomfortable. And I'm like, I said that, oh, my babies are going to get a little loud, I'm sorry. I said, I could have done this a while ago, but I know no one came in to see me. So then I explained everything again with my meds and what I was being told. And I even asked, I said, what was my toxicity level when I came in? I said, because of all those meds that my ex-husband says that I took should be in my system then. I said, and if they're not, and it's only the medications that I told you I was on, then I obviously didn't try to kill myself. I said, and he didn't say anything, and I said, look, please. I said, I'm so grateful to you guys for everything you've done, and I am so blessed that you guys are even here listening to me. I said, and I appreciate it, and I know your hands are tied to an extent. I said, but whatever I can do to help you, make it easier to help me, I'm willing to do. Just you name it. You want phone numbers, fax numbers, whatever you need, records, release of information, and they're like, okay, and then they leave. So I don't see the one of them again for the rest of the night. And I just end up, my son came to visit, I spoke to him, he calmed me down, my children always do, and I just went to sleep, and I just prayed, and I just said, God, I get it, it is time to start living life, and I don't deserve everything to be so easy, because when it is easy, I don't acknowledge it. So if this is some of my challenge and my testing, then that's okay, but just please, God, help me get this too, because I know I need it, and for my treatment, for me to move forward, to heal myself right now, this is what I need. And I went to bed. 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:10 in the morning the next morning, I get woken up by the nurse, who had already called my ex-husband. Is like, good, you're awake, sign this, you're going home. I'm like, I felt like saying, don't say that if it's not true, because that's cruel. Like, that's not even funny. She's like, yep. She's like, Dr. Atano's on his way. He's going to rewrite the paperwork. You're being released. I'm like, released where? He goes, released so you can go to the Valley to get your procedure done. And I said, well, I have to call my ex-husband. And she said, nope, already done. I said, well, can I call Valley and let them know I'm going to be a little bit late? And so they let me have the phone back, and I did. And thankfully, Valley was like, that's fine, we understand. When you get here, just come to, admitting, and, you'll get it done today. Fine. Might not have been at 9:30, but I did not care. I was too afraid to ask if that meant that I was just being released to drive myself to the thing, and then from there, I was being transferred to the psych hospital where I would have to talk to the judge on Thursday. And I didn't want to even ask that, because I was just happy to get out of this room. And they said, as I was in the wheelchair wheeling out, my ex actually was the one who said, so does this mean she's like released, or is she just released to me to take to the hospital? And she said, no, she's released to herself. She's free. And he goes, even with that legal hold? And she goes, Dr. Atano, we wrote all of the information and all the paperwork, and yes. and now use this as, you know, think of your kids and use this as a, you know, another chance. And I said, oh, absolutely. I said, you guys are, you know, saints, and thank you so much, and I'll be writing a letter of gratitude for you guys, and I can't thank you enough, and I will, because I truly am thankful. But it was very scary. It was very scary to have somebody else in full control of your life. To know you have to stand in front of a judge who is only reading off of paper, not really knowing you or getting to speak with you or knowing anything about anything. And the logistics of it doesn't look good. He could have said, absolutely not, she cannot go home, she's not stable enough. And they could transfer me to another treatment center, which would not have been the worst thing, but it would have, because I'm almost halfway through 40 sessions of my neurofeedback, and it's making progress. Well, that will hold that off again, and I'd have to start all over, which is why I hadn't been able to do it up until this point. And I can't be away from my kids right now with this new divorce and everything that's going on. So I'm sorry, my children are distracting me a little bit. I haven't slept very much. But anyway, made it to Valley. God works in mysterious ways. I was given my freedom back. I can honestly tell you I was scared straight. I will never commit a crime, not that I ever have, but to know what it's like to have your life rest in other people's hands, to judge you and to decide how you are to spend it, to decide when and if you can have meds that you need, like just every little bit of your life is not in your control, is a terrifying feeling that I will take with me for the rest of my life. I actually they took my jewelry off when I got there. I had my silver jewelry on, and it's still down there, and I won't go to the hospital to get it because I'm scared that they're going to keep me. So I'm just letting them have it as a parting gift. It's not worth it. I'm terrified to go into a hospital at this point. I feel like they're going to pull my name up somewhere, something's going to get lit up, and I'm going to be held. And I'm scared. So anyway, with that being said, I got my peg tube in. They weren't able to use the same spot, so I have another hole. It is up here and taped, and I hopefully will be able to return to work in the next 2 weeks. I can't lift anything over 10 pounds the first week, and then anything over 20 pounds after that. Unfortunately, my little guy, who is 30, I cannot lift anymore until I have this tube removed. So that was a tough one. So, you know, it's not a fun procedure. It is not a fun tube, because it is connected to your organ, and it is extremely delicate and sensitive, and my baby already yanked on it once. It can get caught on things. It can get clogged. It can get infected so easily, and you can't go in a public pool. You can't go take a bath, and there's just a lot of things that it prevents you from doing. I love to run. I love sports. I love roughhousing with the kids. I can't do that. But I have to remind myself that this is not going to be permanent. It's not. It might be in longer than it was the last time. But that's because we're going to allow it to work. I jumped the ball the last time and allowed the treatment center to kind of psych me into getting it removed. And when I told them what happens if I relapse, they're like, oh, we're not going to think about that because you're not going to relapse. And, you know, when you're hyped up and you're doing well, you can see that. But when reality hits you, you relapse, if you relapse, then you realize you made a mistake, and that was my problem. And I know by having this tube put in, it does prevent me from going to 90% of the inpatient places. But that's why I left it out and did as many inpatients as I could handle this year. And after realizing it's just not working, it's not sticking, we're trying a different out of the box avenue, because when it comes down to it, 8 months of treatment is a lot, but when you're comparing it to 24 years of an eating disorder, it doesn't add up. You need more than that. And unfortunately, I can't go back. I'm not comfortable with the way things are right now for me to be leaving the kids again. I really want to get back to work. The holidays are coming. I really gave it a good effort, and I'm ready to try something different. I'm not giving up. The neurofeedback is an amazing advancement in science that is supposed to do wonders for rewiring the brain, and I enjoy doing it, and I have faith in it. And my therapist went to school for it and is highly trained with it, so she knows exactly what she's doing. And I see my psychiatrist, and I'm on the bare minimum of meds, only the ones that can really help, like Prozac for the obsessive thoughts, and the Ativan for anxiety, and something for sleep. And I'm just, pretty content, and I feel pretty positive about this new treatment plan that we have going. And as far as the tube, I'm dealing with insurance again, and my doctors to try to get them to write me the script for the pump. They always forget to do that. And the amount of formula that I'll need. And I know I'll be doing my feedings at night, because when they did my tube feedings during the day at Center for Change, I know how long it took, and that was a day's worth. So that's what I'm going to do, is basically do the day's worth at night. This way, if I don't have to do it during the day. It's very time consuming, and it's very inconvenient with the baby, and especially when I'm working. And then also I can't do it bolus with the syringe, because it just takes way too long, because I can't feel it. It's like I can't. A lot of my issue is feeling it inside of me, and no matter I can't push it slow enough where I feel it. So it's like I get hit with bursts of it, and it's just too much for me to handle. So I need the drip, but it's okay, because it's in the middle of healing right now, and I'm getting as much in as I can a day, and I'm not nervous, because I'll get the pump. The pump will get delivered next week sometime, maybe even tomorrow. But anyway, I just wanted to fill you guys in on what's been going on, and let you know that it's been crazy. There were a couple days it was a little emotional. I didn't really want to get on here and cry. I'm not really big on doing that. Makes me feel bad, makes me feel weak. I know there are things in life way worse than what I'm going through, so, just trying to put on my big girl panties and get through it. But I didn't want you guys to give up on me, and to keep in touch. And I really do look forward to doing this, and I've missed it. And I'm sorry that this is a long video, but it's a long week. So I hope everything's going well, and I hope everyone's getting ready for Halloween. And I look forward to hearing from you and posting a video again in a couple of days. All right. Love you. Thank you for sticking.